All right, I think we'll get started. Good morning, everybody. My name's Ken Shaw. I'm the CEO of SOS Online Backup, and welcome to today's webinar. It's actually the first webinar of 2011 that we're doing. We do a regular series of webinars here at SOS, often weekly or every other week, focused on becoming an SOS Online Backup partner, specifically how you as an IT business can get into the online backup business working with us. The agenda today is that I'll just give you a brief sense of who SOS is and what our company history and background is. We'll then turn and look at the backup and disaster recovery industry as a whole. We'll take a look at traditional backup and disk-based solutions and the problems that they pose from a technology standpoint, how online backup solves those problems, and that really then sets the stage for the real substance of the webinar, which is the SOS partnership model and how VARs and MSPs can partner with SOS to start selling your own branded online backup solution for your customers. We'll have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar, but we'll also be taking questions throughout. So within the GoToWebinar software, there's a questions module, and you can use that at any time to write a question. We'll actually answer that throughout the course of the presentation, as well as taking questions at the end. If I could just get a sound and video check from anybody on the line, actually perhaps you'd use the questions module just to let me know whether or not the video and audio is coming through okay. That would be much appreciated. The intended audience for today's webinar is anybody who's interested in selling online backup. So that usually means MSPs, ISPs, ISVs, VARs, break-fix shops, anybody who's selling. Our partners really, there's quite a range of partners. So a lot of our partners focus on selling to the home user market, and then a lot focus on selling to the small business market, not a little bit into the enterprise space as well. And we'll talk about our solutions in each of those three places. All right, so let's dive in. In terms of who we are as a company, SOS has been around for nearly 10 years now, and we've always been focused on online backup, as our name sort of indicates. When we first started the business, online backup was something that nobody knew about. It was very much a burgeoning industry. It's now become mainstream. Online backup's rapidly becoming the standard for backup in both the home and consumer environment as well as the small business environment. And so we've enjoyed tremendous growth over those 10 years. We focus on being the technology leader of the space, so we're very proud of the awards we've won. As you can see at the top of this slide, we've been PC Magazine Editor's Choice for the last 5 years running, which I think is testament to our technology platform. And really that word platform is key, because what we focus on primarily is working through partners and helping partners serve online backup to their customers. So we have more than 300 fully white label partners who sell online backup under their own brand to their own customers, with SOS being completely invisible in the background. We also have partnership programs where you can sell under the SOS brand, but we're very much a channel-focused company, which is probably one of the key differentiators of us when you look at other companies in the space. Most other companies are focused on their direct marketing efforts. We're very focused on our partnership and a model and our partners. We've got 4 locations around the world, 150 employees, more than 3 million customer accounts on our system since our launch. So very much a large and well-established company. The technology's obviously been well and truly vetted, and we've been growing rapidly, which is really more of a comment on our partners and the success our partners have, because SOS's revenue comes from our partnership channel. So if our partners don't succeed, we don't succeed. So we are heavily invested in your success in this business. Just a brief timeline here, and this slide deck will be available to you. You'll get an email with a link to the video of the presentation afterwards, so certainly read through this at your leisure. But you can see on the right-hand side here, just in terms of our core goals as a company, we've always focused on being the #1 technology platform in the online backup space, and then to lead the white label market. And what I mean by that is working with people such as yourselves to help you launch your own branded online backup solution, with SOS providing all the technology and expertise and capabilities that you need, but doing that invisibly so that your customers deal with you and the customer relationship remains between you and your end users. In terms of where we sit in the market vis-a-vis consumer, small business, and enterprise, we're heavily small business focused. Some of these other brands on this slide would probably be familiar to you in terms of where they focus. Obviously, Carbonite and Mosey are heavily consumer-focused companies in this space. Mosey also does some small business. iDrive also in the small business space, and then up in the enterprise space, Symantec and Iron Mountain have significant presences. And as I said earlier, the key differentiator for us is that we focus on partners and focus on the channel. None of these other companies here have particularly strong channel programs, whereas the channel's our key focus, and then on top of that, selling into the small business space. And this slide really sums up what it is that we're about. So we take SOS's technology and our capabilities and our people, our human capital as denoted by the logo on the left. We then analyze your business and your product mix and figure out where online backup would fit into your product mix, reskin the product, white label all of the solution for you, work with you to then create different product SKUs and price points and marketing plans for solutions that you're going to sell to your customers. So at the end of the day, we can help you drive incremental revenue that's very high margin with a recurring revenue base from selling backup as a managed service to your customers. And it's really that high margin, recurring, incremental revenue that that this webinar is about, and that your partnership with SOS is all about. And here on the screen are a few examples of the type of white labeling that we do. Pretty much everything you see, from the website to the product to the marketing slicks to sales material, anything you see with SOS on it can be rebranded for you, and that's a standard part of our delivery to our partners, is we take all of our marketing and sales collateral and rebrand it for you for your use. And we'll see more examples of this later on in the presentation. Okay, so let's look at what online backup is replacing. Excuse me, I've come down with a head cold. In terms of traditional backup technology that has dominated the space, you've really got different approaches that have been present in the consumer, small business, and enterprise spaces. In the consumer space, there really has not been any standard for backup. There's a lot of market data out there that shows how poorly consumers actually back up their computers. We did some market research a couple of years ago where in our survey, 90% of respondents said that they intended to back up daily or knew that they should back up daily, but fewer than 10% of them actually did back up daily. So we've been very slow. When I say we, I mean the technology industry generally has been very slow to embed simple backup into the consumer computing life cycle. So where backup does take place for consumers, it's often a homegrown solution. It might involve some hardware like a USB drive or a flash memory key, obviously some custom software to actually facilitate that backup. You'd be surprised at how many people just manually copy data to an external device once a week and treat that as their backup. Excuse me. Generally, consumers are not doing off-site backup. So that's, in the consumer space, it's actually a very large opportunity. We'll look at market sizes in a little bit. In the small business space, however, you have had, just excuse me one moment. I beg your pardon. In the small business space, disk has been the primary technology that's been used. Disk and tape in tandem. Disk certainly has become the prevalent technology in the last few years. Prior to that, tape was obviously the incumbent technology in the space. But either way, the solution has always been a software, hardware, labor solution, three components to it. The hardware being the tape or the disk, some software component that would then manage the backup to that device, and then labor involved in rotating tapes, verifying recoverability, taking those tapes off-site, etc. Quite often there is an off-site solution based around taking physical media off-site, but that's always been a manual and time-intensive process. In the enterprise, you've got a similarly tripartite solution in place being based around hardware, software, and services, but usually with significantly higher price points associated with the hardware and the software. But from an architectural standpoint, the architecture is the same. And then you compare that to cloud-based backup. So we still have the same components of software, hardware, services, and support when we're looking at online backup, but they're now all wrapped up in a software as a service model and delivered over the wire to the customer. So the customer no longer needs to worry about hardware or having different pieces of software working together with one another. It's a simple set and forget software agent that you install on whichever PC that you want to protect, and the backup then happens after that auto-magically, as we like to say. We're seeing the tape backup market collapse rather rapidly. So there's a survey from the Santa Clara group done every year that actually looks at spend on different storage technologies, and you can see here that the tape sales have shrunk from 2.3 billion down to 1.5 billion over the last 3 years. And we expect that trend to continue over the next 5 until tape really becomes a legacy technology. So where are those customers going to? It's a broad generalization, but a lot of them are moving their backup to the cloud. So again, a survey by CTO Edge magazine of 500 CIOs and CTOs yielded the results. 70% of them said that they're intending on shifting all or some of their backup load to online backup. So you've got an enormous shift underway in all 3 sectors: consumer, small business, and enterprise. And one of the major reasons for that is cost. So here on this slide, it's just a very quick total cost of ownership analysis comparing tape-based backup to online backup. You can see here the total 5-year cost for this tape backup solution was $9,130. The same solution for online backup, only $5,000. So a 50% reduction in cost. In terms of margin to you, the reseller of this technology, this actually came from a real live partner of ours, and the margin on this tape backup solution that was sold was only $500 once off. It's capital purchased by the customer, whereas the margin to the partner with the online backup sale was $2,500. So from an economic standpoint, online backup is a far superior solution with a much lower cost for the end user of the technology. And for the reseller involved in the supply chain, it's a technology that has a far richer margin to you, the reseller, than more traditional backup technology does. The reseller than more traditional backup technology does. And so looking at some of the other differences between traditional based backup and online backup, just briefly, I'll spin through this so we can get to talk about the technology. From a deployment standpoint, online backup is far easier than hardware-based backup. You just push the software agent out over a network and you're done. Coverage, traditional backup solutions had great difficulty dealing with laptop fleets or distributed data like branch offices, whereas with online backup, every device that has the software installed on it gets backed up, doesn't matter where it is. Media, there is no media with online backup, so it removes all of the labor and risk associated with media-based backup that's plagued the industry. Recovery with traditional backup is slow and difficult, usually has to be done by a centralized IT department, whereas with online backup you can delegate recovery down to users, so data recovery is super simple and super fast. Security, most traditional backup solutions did not involve encryption, it just involved moving data to tapes, whereas with online backup you've got military-grade encryption as pretty much standard across the industry now, making certain that that data is fully secured. Access to data with traditional solutions was always through the IT department, which was part of the problem. With online backup, anybody can access their data, whether it be from an iPhone or from an Android or from a browser. And that then leads to the management and cost elements, where online backup is far easier to support, far more affordable for customers. And then again, looking at the margin for resellers, with online backup, we see resellers earning as much as 60% gross margin on products sold, whereas with traditional hardware-based backup, the margin involved is only in the single digits. 5 or 6 percentage points is pretty common. So what we set out to do here at SOS is to convert backup from being a pain point for you and your customers and a cost center, and help convert it into both a revenue generator and a profit generator for your business. And so just looking at some of the economic stats around online backup briefly, a lot of people, this is one of the more common questions we get: how big is the backup industry, how big is online backup? In short, the total backup industry is about $10 billion a year across hardware, software, and services. As you saw of that, the hardware purchases of tape constituted $2.5 billion just 3 years ago. So it's quite a large market. The total online backup market today is only sitting at about $1 billion. And many people agree that online backup's poised to take 70 or 80% of the market over the next 5 to 10 years. So we're looking at an industry that will grow to $8 billion in size roughly, and is at about $1 billion today. So there's still a lot of growth ahead of us. All right, so I'll turn now and actually look at the core SOS technology. This is often where we get a lot of questions from the audience. Haven't had any questions so far, so please don't be shy. If you've got any questions that I can answer, type away. The SOS technology is built around 4 key concepts, starting with protect on the left of this slide, which is fairly intuitive. For us, protect means backup and recovery, and obviously that's core to our mission. We protect the data. Second component of the solution is access. We make it very simple and easy to access that data in new and more versatile and more convenient ways. So whether that's from an iPhone or from an Android or a BlackBerry or a laptop or a web browser. Share. This is both a business feature and a consumer feature. Getting that data out of the cloud and getting it to colleagues at work or getting it to friends and family. We want to facilitate that process. And then manage. If you're a system administrator or a partner and you've got 500 customers who are backing their PCs up, how do you manage that? How do you report on that? How do you get core metrics? How do you deal with problems and escalations? Well, our solution's got our Pulse environment, which answers all of those questions. So, and I'll talk about each of these in turn on the following slides. So just going across this slide and talking about some of the key features. We've got a question here from Adrian Garza. Do you work for Mac? We don't currently have a Mac version of our product. We have a Mac version in beta, and we're trying to determine when we're going to be releasing that in production. Most of our partners serve Wintel customers. We do support backing up data from Mac, so we've got a solution where you can back up Linux or Mac or any other type of OS just by setting up our software on a Windows box, which it will then talk to other boxes across the network. So you can, if you had an environment that was all Mac, then we wouldn't be the solution for you. If you had an environment that was predominantly Wintel but had some Mac or Linux and other legacy technology in it, then that is easily supported. And hopefully that answers Aaron Chandler's question as well about Linux. Okay, so just going across some of the key features of the product, starting at the top. We do a lot of work on the product to make it as user-friendly and usable as possible, do a lot of usability analysis, and we've won a lot of awards for that. You can see there a graphic of the product as it looks when it's skinned for us, but of course we reskin that for you and for any other partner that needs it to be done. You can sell the SOS branded product if that's something you're interested in doing, or you can sell a completely white label to your own business. Continuous data protection. We integrate CDP right into the product, so it's not an additional add-on sale that you so often see with traditional backup software. CDP is built right into the product so that you can tell it to watch certain files, and as soon as those files change, it'll back them up to the cloud. Unlimited computers. This is a really, really important point. What's common in the industry is this $4.95 unlimited backup price point that's a Mozy and Carbonite pedal, which is, of course, enormously limited because it actually only works for one PC. So one of the key differentiators for SOS is that you can have an unlimited number of computers connected to your account, and that's actually where a lot of the power of the system comes from. You can see in that screenshot there that we've got, I think, 6 PCs that we're managing the recovery of all from one console, so that the ability to have an unlimited number of PCs connected to a single account is a very powerful feature of the system. Global roaming access, so through our My Account portal you can access your data and share your data with anybody just through a browser. That browser can be on a smartphone or can be on a laptop or an iPad or a traditional browser. Then access an iPhone, we've actually got a dedicated iPhone client and a dedicated BlackBerry client that allow you to protect data on those devices, specifically contact address books. As well as stream video and music and grab documents, read documents, share files with others. So you've got the whole gamut of protect, access, share, and manage right there on your mobile device. Next one over, free integrated local backup. So this is important because we're not advocating that you or your customers should stop doing local backups. In fact, we're saying you should continue to do local backups. You can even use our local backup software to do so. But then also add online backup to what you're doing. So local backups built into the software, comes free. You can give that to all of your customers. The way some of our partners will deploy it is they'll give all of their customers the local backup software and a very small online backup account as a teaser or to get them used to the technology, and then upsell them from there. I'll skip through some of these unless there's particular interest from the audience, but just to draw your attention to some of these. PMU, so you can actually send the data on a hard disk drive if the data is all still encrypted, and we'll do the upload for you, so that can help save a lot of time. Powerful recovery. We've got a timeline-based recovery system that lets you, just using a simple calendar control, roll back to any given point in time, which is a very powerful system. Scheduling, you can set up backups to work daily, weekly, monthly, hourly, or continuously if you turn CDP on. One-click sharing, it's easy to share contents out with others. Unlimited versioning, this is another real set-apart feature, I think, for our platform. We keep an unlimited version history for any file, and we don't charge you for it. So if you've got a file that changes every day, we'll keep 365 versions in the year. What you can see in that screenshot, I know it's very small, but you can see a drop-down list where you can select the version you need. Or, more importantly, with the calendar-based recovery module, you would simply select the date you want to see your files as of. And that versioning is done completely free for you, the partner, and free for your customers. We're the only online backup company that does this. All the other companies keep 14 or 30 versions of your file, but we keep an unlimited version history. We've got a question here. Is there a gigabyte limit for local backups? From Thomas Smith. No, Thomas, the local backups are completely unlimited, so you can back up as much data as you like. David Phillips asks, you mentioned that you back up unlimited PCs. Does this work with Windows Server? Absolutely, David. Windows Server is one of the most common, 2K3 and 2K8, probably two of the most common operating systems we deal with. Excuse me. Unlimited archiving. This is a quirky point, but an important one. In the industry, other vendors, specifically Mozy and Carbonite, have taken the position that if a file's on your PC and you back it up to their cloud, and then you delete that file from your PC, that they should delete it from their cloud. And their rationale for doing that is they say that, well, if you've deleted it from your PC, it no longer needs to be backed up. That would now be archiving, and we're not going to keep it for you. So they delete it from the cloud. Now, the problem with that approach is that our own customer data says that 60% of recoveries come from accidental deletion or accidental loss of files. Can't find it, or I deleted it, or I moved it. So what we decided is that we would build archiving right into the product. So SOS has got an unlimited archiving capability. It doesn't matter if you remove the file from your local environment. Unless you explicitly remove from the cloud, we're going to keep it. Now, that's very important in the consumer space where, as I said, 60% of recoveries come from accidental deletion or loss. But across in the business world, it's vital, because what this allows you to do is to sell your rebranded SOS technology as an archiving solution, which is every business has. So now you can sell this not only as a disaster recovery and backup solution to your customers, but you can also sell it as an archiving solution, which is key for email archiving, regulatory compliance. So businesses that are subject to the HIPAA regulations or Sarbanes-Oxley regulations have to archive for a certain period of time. So let's turn now and look at the SOS partnership model. We're seeing this slide already. All right, so why partner with SOS? Well, 5 major reasons. Technology, delivery and support, high margin revenue, brand building, increased customer retention. We'll talk about each of those. So all of the technology that we've just talked about, you get access to, whether it's the local backup, the CDP, our 11 data centers around the world, the mobile clients, the rich media streaming and sharing, products for consumer, small business, and enterprise. It's the best product at the best price in the market. I've got a question here. Is it SARBOX compliant? Absolutely, David. In fact, selling this as a SARBOX solution for either DR, a therapist, any medical-related business in America, it has to back up their data using online backup and store it for 7 years. And you can sell your branded SOS technology to them as a HIPAA-compliant backup, DR, and archiving solution. And I said that they have to use online backup. They don't actually have to use online backup. But the way the rules are written is it effectively means online backup's the only technology they can use. So HIPAA has become a very rich vertical for our partners. And if you've got medical or medical-related businesses in your target market, then I think that's there's a a very actionable opportunity for you to sell this to into that sector. Our delivery and support, so just coming back to the slide, our delivery and support infrastructure, 11 data centers worldwide. Actually, it says 10 here, but it's 11 now. We recently added a data center in Toronto, Canada. You've got a dedicated account manager. Our technical and sales training programs are excellent, and you'll hear more about those. And then from a margin standpoint, you're looking at a product that you can make anywhere from 20 to 60% gross margin on it with an immediate ROI. So we've got many partners who they take the wholesale price they buy from us at, mark it up 200%, and then sell it. And so they're then making, in some cases, an 80% gross margin on what they sell. So just flipping through some of these things. We've talked a lot about the infrastructure and the product. On the billing side, there's a lot of flexibility. Question here from Thomas Smith, is Toronto data center located at 151 Front Street? Thomas, I genuinely have no idea. I'm sorry, I don't know the street addresses of any of our data centers actually, but I'm sure one of the partner specialists could get that information for you. From a billing standpoint, you can either use our billing APIs or we can help you with billing solutions. So very flexible ways of working with you for you to build your customers. Marketing, we've got our entire partner resource center, which I'll turn to, and actually let's bring that up. So I've just brought up, hopefully you can see my browser. And so on the SOS website, if you click SOS for resellers, and if you, on the subnav, you can see here Partner Resource Center. And the Partner Resource Center is just one example of the sort of resources we can bring to bear to help you succeed in this market. So everything from email templates to help you to market to your leads and your prospects, through pricing guidelines, showing you how to price online backup for different markets that you're selling to, sales presentation templates that you can use to help sell your opportunities, full disaster recovery plan template that you can sell to your customers, proposal templates that you can use to give proposals and quotes, a 14-page ebook that we've written based upon the success of our partners who've really done well in this space, laying out a program for marketing and sales success in online backup. I think there are 8 steps that we extracted from those partners that you can follow, and for each step there are other resources in the PRC to use. So it's good, an amazing resource, the online backup sales guide. Some white papers containing a lot of the similar content to this presentation, but for example, tape versus online backup white paper. Training resources. So there's SOS trainings going on every day. There's 3 streams of training. There's a support training on how do you support your customers. There's a product training on learning the product, and there's sales training on how to sell the product. They're going on all the time, and as well there are training resources in the Partner Resource Center with videos and documents that you can use at any time you need. So it's really a wonderful resource for partners. And if you'd be interested in getting a look at some of that content prior to becoming a partner, call in and talk to our partner specialists and ask for some of, a preview of some of that content. I'm sure they can provide you access to some of it. Okay, so back to the PowerPoint deck. I want to talk a little bit about our sales organization because it's set up quite uniquely. Our sales org is set up so that our sales reps will actually work with you to help close business. So you can bring them into your calls with your customers, and they'll help you close deals. We've talked about training and technical support. When you become an SOS partner, you'll have no less than 4 people assigned to you. You've got your partner specialist, who will walk you through the whole process. Your account manager, who is your dedicated account manager, looks after the overall relationship for the lifetime of your relationship with SOS. A dedicated support person who's assigned to your account, and what we call a partner delivery consultant, whose job it is to get you all the way from where you're sitting today into the market. So it's that first crucial 4 weeks of getting your sales and marketing plan built, designing your product, reskinning your product, getting your website launched, and getting you selling. One of the common questions we get in these presentations is who do SOS partners sell to? And so we've analyzed our partners and found that there's really 2 different ways of categorizing them. You can either look at what is the business need that our partners sell to, or what are the vertical markets they're selling into. So I think I've already touched on most of these, but medical and healthcare, because of the HIPAA regulations, is a very, very rich vertical market. Financial services, similarly, because of the Sarbanes-Oxley regulations. Legal and government are both very strong. There aren't any specific regulations on a national level, but there are many recommendations from state bar and county bar associations across the country that members of the legal profession utilize online backup services, and in certain government bodies are actually required to use digital off-site backup services at both the county and state level throughout America. And education has long been a very large market for online backup. In terms of selling by business need, obviously this gets sold as just a general DR and archiving solution, but there are also some more specific ways that the product is sold. Laptop fleet protection, branch office protection, backing up servers, whether it's an email server, an app server, or a database server, and then also data access. It gets sold as a tool to enable remote workforces to access data centrally. So it's quite versatile and gets sold in many different ways. Case study here of a partner who's been particularly successful. I just want to show this up as an example of what's possible. This partner has got about 20 active customers and has built up a revenue model in which he's got a total cost of $5,900, but has I beg your pardon, that was completely wrong, revenue of $5,900, and that's recurring revenue. So in this case, he's selling it as a monthly managed service to his customers with quite a rich price point. So you can see in this top box, for example, it's selling $750 a month package for all-you-can-eat business backup. Now, under the hood, he has to actually provision gigabytes, but the way he sells it is he sells it as unlimited business backup. And so his total cost on all these different streams that he's put together from us is $1,000, but his revenue stream is nearly $6,000, $5,900 a month. So he's built quite a nice little business, and you can see that his gross margin's 82% of products sold. So it really does, I think, highlight how generous the margin can be selling online backup, particularly into the small business space. Obviously, this person's selling to businesses, not selling to home users. But even if you're selling to home users, I mean, the margin can still be significant. It can still be 30 or 40%. On the screen here, we've got some examples of some more white-labeled product. But again, the best place to get examples of that is to talk to one of the partner specialists here at SOS. They can actually mock up what the product would look like for you. So if you call in and ask, what would my reskin product look like, they can organize a mock-up and get that to you within a few days. So you'd actually be able to see what the marketing collateral and the actual software technology would look like for you once it's been reskinned. And here are some other examples of rebranded product. This is our vulnerability scanner, which is a marketing tool we built for partners that it rapidly analyzes a PC and tells you how much data is on it to be protected. So you can see here this has been rebranded for ETTE, online backup, and we can rebrand this for you, for your brand. All right, so that brings us to the Q&A section of the webinar. I think we've covered all of this, but why partner with us? Technology, the price point, our delivery and support and training, and at the end of the day, because it can help you drive a high margin, recurring revenue business model from selling online backup as a managed service. So we'll turn to Q&A. If there are any questions, please type them now. I think Aaron Chandler's got his hand raised. And has had for 34 minutes. I apologize, Aaron. If you type your question. Okay, so Thomas Smith asks, what agents are available, e.g. SQL and Exchange? Thomas, we don't have dedicated SQL and Exchange agents. What we do is we work with a partner company who supplies us with their SQL and Exchange agents, and then we do that deployment for you. So we've got a service, what we call Complex Environment Support, CES, where basically you turn over an Exchange's back up to us, and we do it all for you. We do the labor, and we do the we provide all of the software. So we'll set up local backup and offsite backup. And CES costs $300 a year, so it's only $25 a month. Most of our partners offer that service because they can't manage the backup on a client's machine for only $25 a month. Now you would probably then be selling that to your customer at $200 a month. So that's the way we handle complex environments, and we can handle Oracle, SQL, Exchange, nearly any complex environment the CES team can handle. Henry Joe asks, what is the partnership cost? So Henry, we've got lots of different partnership levels. The easiest entry point is our Easy Start program, where for $250 a month you can get started. And you can learn more about that by calling in and talking to one of our partner specialists. They'll be able to give you all the details on that. Peter Daniels says, do you have a comparison of SOS features to Carbonite? Peter, yes. I'm sure if you ask one of the partner specialists for that, they'll be able to give that to you. We don't have it up on our website, but you can get that from the partner team. Katie Reed asks, if a client wants this and they're out of state, can I remotely deploy? Katie, if you can give me more details around that, you can deploy it remotely, but I'm not sure what deployment technology you're using, so it would depend upon what you're using to deploy. But almost certainly yes is the answer to your question. Most home users would be able to install this themselves, and if not, what we do in a lot of cases, we actually remote into customers' PCs and install it for them. I guess you could do that, so using whatever remote desktop software you're using, perhaps, log me in Rescue or go to my PC. You could log in and install it. It takes about 10 minutes to install and configure, so it's a pretty lightweight process. David Phillips asks, at the $250 level, how much space does that allow? David, I'm a little bit embarrassed to say that I don't know. I do know it used to be 250 gigs, but they're always running promotional specials. So I think right now it's 300 gigs. But they're constantly running promotional specials. So call in and talk to a partner specialist to get to get the best deal you can. But it's I believe it's currently 300 gigs of space that you get for that. Now, depending on how you're reselling it, if you're reselling it at say $10 a gig a year, you can sell 300 gigs for $3,000. So it's a good, easy way to get into the market. Katie Reed's confirming that we did have a special for 300 gigs. Okay, great. Thanks, Katie. Ken Walling says, is there any key escrow? Ken, I'm not sure what you mean by that. If you can provide more details, I'll do my best to answer. Thomas Smith, any support for VMware? Thomas, yes, you can either install, depends which type of VMware environment you're running. Are you talking about VMware Workstation? Are you talking about VMware, say, XE Server? Okay. With XE, we just tell you to, we recommend that you install SOS within the virtual machine itself. So we don't have a solution that will connect to XE and actually then back up the VMs externally to that. We'll actually run the software within each VM. Does that make sense? Peter Daniels asks, will this solution back up open databases? Yes, it will, but we highly recommend against that. What we recommend you do is use whichever database software you're using's inbuilt backup utility. They all have backup ability, and so either script that or set it up in the job management system of the database and then back up the backup files. That's really the safest way in terms of data integrity. You can back up the files directly, but you risk data corruption by doing that. Do you work only through channel or direct sales too? We're 80% through the channel, Henry, so we do have some direct sales, but the vast majority of the business is focused on the channel. We do think it's important, though, to maintain our presence in the direct market because our partners look to us to teach them the best way to sell the product, the best way to market the product, the best way to price the product. So we do feel strongly that if we're not in the business ourselves, then we don't have credibility. And so that's why we do maintain a direct sales presence as well. Is this OS X compatible? You mentioned something about Mac, but I missed it. It won't run on OS X. But it can back up OS X data. So so long as there's a Windows machine on the network, then SOS can be configured to back up the Mac data. It'll suck the data across the network and then up to the cloud. But if you've got a purely Mac environment, then this isn't the solution for you. So Ken Walling says, Is there a public-private key pair, asymmetric encryption, or just a shared secret symmetric key? If these keys are lost, how would the data be recovered? Key escrow would be some way to decrypt the customer data. Okay, so we don't supply key escrow. We do, however, use public-private key pairs and with what's called our ultra-safe security option. And the answer to your question, what happens if you lose the key? If you lose the key, you're in trouble. If you lose the key, we cannot recover the data for you. And nor would you be able to recover the data. So there's two security options when you sign up. You can either sign up with UltraSafe or you can sign up with standard security. And most of our business customers use UltraSafe, where SOS doesn't have the ability to see the data. We don't have your security key at all. Excuse me. Peter Daniels asks, is it Linux or NetWare compatible? So again, Peter, we can back up Linux and network data so long as you've got at least one Windows PC in the network. If it's a purely Linux environment or purely NetWare environment, we can't. So we need at least one PC to be present in the environment to work. We've got a few more minutes for questions. No more questions at this point. But we've got another 5 minutes, so please do. Oh, sorry, if you just came in. I'm sorry, can you repeat what you said about UltraSafe versus standard? Certainly. So every single backup we run, the data gets encrypted before it gets transferred to the data center. But there's two different ways that we can handle the encryption keys. Our standard security system uses a shared security key. What that means is that if the customer lost their password, then we could unlock it for them and give it back to them. With our UltraSafe security model, it's based on a public-private key model where we never have the key that is used to encrypt the data. What that means is if you lose your credentials, if you lose your key, we can't help you. We can't reset your account. We can't give you your data back. And so it very, very rarely happens, but it has happened. So what we always recommend is if you use UltraSafe security, make certain you've got a copy of the key in a secure location, like, for example, a safe deposit box. And our banking customers and our legal customers and our government customers all use that security mechanism. It's important for business and government. But standard security is more than enough for your average home user. I hope that answers the question, Katie. Okay, Michael Lane, my internet connection went down when you were talking about cost to partners. Can you recap? Sure thing, Michael. There are lots of different models. The wholesale model is pretty simple. You buy from us at wholesale and you sell retail to your customers. The more you buy from us, the cheaper rate you get per gig. Our lowest price point is $250 a month, and you get 300 gigs for that, as well as all the white labeling, all the branding, the account management, access to all the training resources, full access to the Partner Resource Center. Okay. Aaron Chandler, is there a document that compares your recent offerings and their prices, features? Absolutely, Aaron. And if you call into the Partner Specialist team, that's one of the first things they'll give you. They'll also give you a mock-up so you can see what your technology might look like, and they do what we call an ROI, where they'll ask you a few questions and put together an Excel table for you that shows you different scenarios for revenue generation and profit. So it's quite a useful use of 10 minutes. So I'd really recommend you all call in to and ask for a mock-up, ask for an ROI, and ask for a comparison of the different options. Katie Reed, so they keep the key rather than the reseller. Katie, if you were setting it up for your customers, you could keep the key, or you could give it to them as well, or both. Ken Walling, could you elaborate a little on the vulnerability scanner that was on the slides? Certainly, Ken. I'll just go back. So the vulnerability scanner is a very simple tool. It's 400 kilobyte download. It doesn't need to be installed. It just runs. And what it does is it very rapidly scans the master file table of the hard disk of the PC it's running on for data types. You can find it on our website. So it's on our website under downloads. You'll be able to get it. And it's a tremendous tool for scoping a sales opportunity, because you run this on every PC in a customer's environment, and it's going to come back and tell you how much data there is in these different categories. And that would form the basis of, say, a quote that you would give them. Right, so we rebrand that, and it's a tremendous sales and marketing tool. I think it's one of our most popular tools, frankly. Any other questions on that, Ken? Henry Joe asks a great question. Why would a prospect go through that channel rather than direct? What would be the incentive? Also, what is the price structure for direct sales? So Henry, they'd buy from you if you've got a relationship from them and if you're selling it to them. They're not going to, I'm not suggesting for a moment that somebody in, say, Germany is going to Google you, find you on the web and buy from you. That's not what this is about. But if you've got a captive audience and you've got a business, your customers are already buying from you, and you add this into the business relationship you've got. So we nearly always see this as an additive sale. Whatever you're already selling to these customers, whether it's a product or a service, you can sell this alongside that and continue to leverage that customer relationship you already have to expand the revenue that you can drive from that relationship. From a pricing standpoint, you can set the price at whatever you like. We don't restrict our partners on pricing. So you can price this to your customers however you will. Ken makes a good point. Ken says, strange name for the vulnerability scanner. I'm a security professional. Vulnerability scanners usually deal with potential ways to compromise systems, i.e. they identify security vulnerabilities, but I see what your tool does. Sounds good. Ken, you're absolutely right. We don't really exist in the security industry. Backup's sort of its own little thing, and although vulnerability scanner might not be the best name for it, what it's trying to communicate is your exposure, your risk. It's trying to calculate for the customer how much you've got on the line, how much data could you lose, right? So we came up with vulnerability because you're vulnerable to data loss. But no, it's not. It's certainly not scanning for holes in the system or security weak points. Ken suggests we might think about renaming it as asset scanner. Ken, I will forward that on to our director of marketing. Aaron Chandler asks, will the ETTE run across the network as admin and summarize the data, or do you have to run it on each PC? Just one comment, ETTE, that's the name of a partner of ours, so that's just an example of the rebrand. You can see the SOS branded version down the bottom of this slide, SOS Vulnerability Scanner. It doesn't work across the network at the moment, it just works on the local PC, but we're working on an updated version that will crawl the network. So keep your eye on the lookout for that, and that should be ready in the next couple of months. Great. We're out of time, so if there are any last questions, I can take them now. Otherwise, I'd really encourage you to call in and talk to a partner specialist. They can answer all of your questions much better than I can. Get a mock-up so you can see what your technology would look like, and we'd love to see you join the SOS partnership team. So thank you very much for your time, and have a wonderful day. Just a few small follow-up questions here. If we were rebranding the vulnerability scanner, you can call it whatever you like. So you can rebrand all the products, including the vulnerability scanner, and you can absolutely offer the vulnerability scan to your customer. That's a key part of what we do with that. So that's it. Very easy. Okay, well, that seems to be the last of the questions. So I think we'll leave it there. Thank you, everybody.